Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Public Safety Committee for February 7th to order. I'm Stephen Havey, your chairman. First, we'd like to have a roll call, please.
Mr. Havey.
Here.
Mr. Sear.
Here.
Mr. Barnes.
Present.
Mr. Demick.
Here.
Mr. Healy.
Here.
Mr. Rumfelt.
Here.
Mr. Stockin.
Here.
And Mr. Harris. 7 present.
Thank you. We need the approval for minutes for January 3rd. I'll take a motion, please.
Rumfeld will move.
Thank you. And a second?
Demick will second.
Thank you. Any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. I understand that Mr. J.R. Carter will not be with us today. I think he may be in court, I'm not sure. But he's not with us. You do have his report. So if you have questions on that, please reach out directly to him. Next up, we have Mr. Jeff Lucky, who's going to be doing double duty today. Mr. Lucky, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I just want to highlight a couple different things. Obviously, we're all aware of our weather event that we had with the wind on January 9th through the 10th. You can see there we did have quite a bit of power outage at one time with about 11,000 customers out. And then by into the evening, it had dropped down to about 4,600 or so, 48. It tended to stay there for several different communities. The local responders did a great job. They opened up their fire halls as a warming center. We had provisions if we needed to open up a Red Cross one, but that didn't come to fruition. So they did a great job, and we also worked on supplying some O2 bottles if that became necessary, because that was one of the things that hit around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, as people realized that they were running out of their O2, home O2, or their oxygen generator was running low. But that was pretty much handled locally too. They were able to fill or recharge their systems. Moving on from there, on January 12th there, I did respond to a tractor trailer. It wasn't a rollover, but it was a jackknife tractor trailer into the median right at the 86 exit in the westbound lane in Belmont. There was a hazardous material spill. The diesel fuel and some oil. I provided some of the equipment, the pads and booms. Angelica Fire Department did a great job spreading them out and containing it. DEC out of Buffalo came down once again, works well with them, and part of our relationships we've developed to them. I did get a call this last week that they're going to place one of their DEC trailers here in our region, that I could respond with their DEC trailer, which would have more that I have on my hazmat trailers, and they'll replenish that. So that's because of the relationship, that's going to be an
How big
asset.
of a spill was that?
The guy went back and forth. I'm not sure, around 120 gallons.
So anything, it used to be anything more than 5 gallons, they have to
Correct.
respond to it, right? Okay.
Correct. Yes. Also on that, we did respond. This is a joint effort between multiple people. On January 29th, we had a 14-year-old boy with some medical issues leave home, spent the night walking. I know the sheriff's drone team responded early to that incident. Obviously, New York State, Forest Rangers. I became aware of it in the next morning because the Belfast Fire Chief asked me to come in and assist. I came in and assisted just at the command center. Great unified working command again, once I said. Because the child was paralleling the Genesee River, I did go and get our swiftwater trailer and had that stationed there, but it wasn't necessary. And the child was found at around 11 a.m. with minor frostbite.
Okay.
The last thing is kind of a transition before I go into Bonnie. Solar eclipse, April 8th. Our timeline is pretty much for the Angelica area. It'll start at 2:05. The peak time will be at 3:20 for about 56 seconds. And that's totality. Obviously, it's very hard to tell complete totality, but the easiest way to look at it is it follows 86. Anything north of 86 is totality. Anything south of 86 won't have complete totality. We are been having numerous meetings with our counterparts, a couple of ones within the department, and tomorrow I'm hosting, after our department head meeting, a department head, key department head meeting on solar eclipse, and we'll finalize some more plans and stuff. Again, today I was on Western New York Consortium, and they're looking at the numbers being decreased from what originally anticipated. Planning department's been a great help for us too on this, so we'll have more next month on this for you.
Okay, that's going to be a big deal, assuming there's no clouds.
Right, 70% chance of clouds that day, average.
Outstanding. Any questions on Jeff's report before he moves over? He's doing double duty today. He's going to be reporting for Bonnie as well. Any questions for Jeff on that report? Hearing none.
All right, thank you.
Here. Next up.
Bonnie did wanted to highlight a couple things on January 9th. Busy day as usual type thing. Bonnie responded to a fatal accident and went to assist with the EMS advisory board. Meeting afterwards was canceled because of the weather we had. Obviously, that was the same time as our power outage. One of our legislators here is taking the EMT class. She witnessed our power outage at our facility. It was just our backup generator, kind of it's that in-between time that propane doesn't always work when it's kind of frosty. It tried starting it wasn't getting its gas. So Steve responded immediately. We had power back on. Class continued, which is a benefit to how our instructors handle things. We set up some flashlights in the meantime. Class continued. Currently, we have 30 new EMTs and 1 refresher in this spring EMT class. The other thing I wanted to highlight, again, Bonnie and my staff assisted me greatly coming in the next day. January 10th, I left in the morning because I stayed here all night just in case some other issues happened. But they took over, and I said before, I have complete faith in my staff. When I left, they were in charge, and they did a great job. So besides Bonnie, Mandy, and Shelley were a great asset to that. The other thing I wanted to highlight, January 19th, I don't think Scott and Dan are at the state council meetings the same as Bonnie is today. Scott has been inviting Director Greenberg, so he's DOH EMS Director Greenberg, to stop in sometime and visit his facility. Director Greenberg took him up on that and stopped in. Scott invited and Dan invited Bonnie over, and I think several others. One of the key things out of that is they kind of talked about the CC program, the ending date. That was part of the meeting today, was part of that. But the part I want to emphasize is that because of that meeting, they became aware of our memorandum coming up next, talking about assisting with providing a bridge program from CC to paramedic. That's coming up, but one of the things that Greenberg was so impressed with, and Ed Major, is that he asked Bonnie to do a presentation at the state council meeting along with him about how counties need the ability to change over from the CCs to paramedic, but also what they're doing. They're not just sitting back and wanting that just to happen. All the credit goes to her and the other one she's been working with on this. Again, it was something she threw together, and again, she was asked to present, and she would have been here today, but they asked her to present at a meeting at 2 o'clock again today on that. So kudos to her.
Yeah, I understand she's doing a great job, so that's very good. We appreciate that. Any questions on the EMS part of the report? Okay, hearing none, we have a piece of business. We have an MOE that we need to discuss, am I right?
Correct.
Okay, first of all, let me start by saying that, do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it? I don't care. And then we'll correct the...
Go ahead.
All right. Requesting a resolution for Allegheny County to pay up to 13 AEMT CC critical care technicians to attend the bridge course through Northwell to obtain their paramedic certification. And this cost is $2,200 per student plus $885 for books. And this is going to be a 14-month course. And this MOE that was originally presented had the wrong account number on it. So first of all, I need to move the account number from A3639-421 to A3640 dot 421. And I think I need to have a motion to make that change.
Rumfeld will move it.
Thank you. A second?
Demical second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, now that we got the paperwork on that straightened out. This is, once again, this is for us to pay for this, the county to pay for this. This will be budgeted out of the emergency services account. So, do you have anything else you want to say about that?
The one advantage of this, and again, one of the key things that we were looking at losing more of our 8 CCs, this doesn't carry the clinical time with it that the paramedic class does. The course length is kind of similar, the educational side is similar. I'm probably wrong because I've heard different figures, but the clinical time for paramedic is around 600 hours. Is that kind of the same thing you hear, Jim? It kind of changes in which course you take type thing, so it's not a hard thing, but that's the biggest thing. And that's why our more or less all of them are the volunteer CCs, and they're not paid CCs, are interested in this program. So again, I hope you support it, and I think it will be successful.
Rumfeld will move it.
Thank you. Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, we just got advised that New York State said at 2 o'clock today, they're going to make it official, but the CC program will no longer exist on July 1st of 2027, so it's kind of imperative that we get this going.
Very good.
I just comment too, yes, it's a really good program, and I'm all in support of it. The only question I got is maybe for the A-team there in the back, at the back table. Are we using everything as, this all per our policy? We have using the correct forms and sign-offs on this stuff? Or?
On the MOE that you're actually looking at,
Right.
I think, we're always looking to improve our forms. So this probably wasn't perfect when it was handed in. And I think some of that is just because Bonnie and Jeff have been busy, very busy on the road, as have the rest of their staff. And I actually think this was prepared while Bonnie was out of office. She was trying to do this from a remote location. So I think that might have accounted for why the wrong account was on there.
Okay. Well, my only question was, we're trying to use uniform procedures to simplify things. I know for everybody. Thank you.
We're working towards that goal.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I have a question. 2 questions, and Jeff, I'm not sure you have the answer to this, but maybe Carissa does. So in the in the paramedic class that we're paying for right now, how many people are left in that course? Do you have any idea?
I believe it's 5,
Out of 10?
9.
9, okay. And then secondly, in this course, these are critical care technicians that are already certified. Are they like in ambulance squads around the county?
Yes, these are all actively riding on ambulances.
And is there any kind of information or anything in terms of if they don't succeed in this course, the costs, like coming back to the county? Or, I mean, is there any kind of guarantee that they will finish the class?
I think that's, Chris might be able to touch on it more. I know Bonnie's had that conversation with them, and I think there was going to be a payback if they didn't.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure on that. But that is part of that discussion,
It
yes.
feels to me like that is a necessary part of this, this is a very difficult class, so.
Yeah. Mike?
I think Bonnie was working on those details, and I think she was going to work with Allison on that as well.
One of the things that was discussed is if they drop out, they would be responsible, but if they failed, no fault of their own, I mean, they're trying, that we weren't gonna. That was one of the things that was addressed at one of our meetings.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. I guess we're up to the vote. All in favor, say aye. Yep. Opposed? And that is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Mr. Ian Jones, our district attorney. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Jeff and Bonnie get to come up and talk about all these fun and interesting things people are doing in the county, and then I come up and give you a page of case numbers. So
Yeah.
it's great. That's great. I hope everyone got the half of a report. We'll get the rest. Not sure why it was a challenge to get the last year's numbers, but I'll just email them to everybody. But it's pretty early in the year, so any questions so far on what we've got?
I don't know, 25 felonies is kind of entertaining.
There's a lot of entertainment in those felonies. If anybody wants to come over and check any of them out, there's no shortage of things to talk about.
Any questions for the district attorney?
Okay?
Well, you got our ear. Anything else?
No, not right now.
All right, thanks. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Take care.
Okay. Peter Degnan, our conflict defender. Sir, good afternoon.
Happy February. It's hard to believe. It's February already, but.
Spring before you know it.
I know. Well, our numbers continue to go up, which is good and bad news, I guess, but that's where we're at. So the numbers continue to go up. We continue to get greater funding. And I think we're making a lot of progress towards reusing. Our grant comes to an end in the end of March, so I think we're making great progress relative to using up those remaining funds, so that's good. I think the progress on the building's going very well. We have another meeting set up, I think, in February. We have to, we have to get ILS the numbers. Once we get them the numbers, I think that they're going to extend that portion of the grant, so save the county a substantial amount of money, so that's all good news. All good news, right?
It's all good.
Got to have the good news. It's all good news. And then, as part of using our grant, we do have an MOE. I'll give you a little preview for next month. I think we're going to have our $250,000 grant from ILS relative to family court. That's going to involve having a case manager come on board, so we're going to have to hire that, figure out where they're going to live, all that stuff. So that's a preview. We don't have to get into it today, but just want to give you a little preview of what's coming up. And then we have the MOE for additional software.
So move, sir.
Okay. Thank you. And discussion. There should actually be some discussion on this. Can you explain to us what this software will do for us?
Yep.
Please.
So we do have a current software, PDCMS, that is adequate for the public defender's needs. However, because we manage so many people, so we put in for 39 users. We do have a lot of, obviously, we use it, and then all the attorneys that come in for conflicts will use it. And so what it's really going to help us do is it's going to centralize the platform, hopefully, for all the billings. So we'll know what people are billing. It'll help us really to be able to review better. We'll be able to track the attorneys better, spread out what they're using, who's on cases. So it'll help us better to do that. Also, most importantly, it'll help us report back to ILS so we can get their portion of the funding back. So that's going to assist us. And it's paid for by the ILS grant, so ILS wants us to use that money, wants us to improve our technology, so it definitely helps there, and it is really actually a lot less than what ILS has budgeted for us, but I thought it would adequately meet our needs, and I talked to other offices that have used it and other lawyers who are using it, because I know Erie County uses that software, and they like it, they find it efficient, it's helpful. So I think overall, it definitely will be very helpful, and I think it'll help us in our reporting requirements, so I think it streamlines a lot of efficiency, which is, I think, the main goal, and having it paid for by ILS is even better.
Anybody else have any questions on this particular
I
motion?
got a general question on the entire topic of the criminal justice system. I come from a world of if something's broke, you fix it. And it seems to me that the world of the criminal justice system is they just try to manage the problems, so they don't fix them, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Any comments, Lon?
Well, that's a policy.
You've been around for a while. So.
I have been around, and thank you for noticing. But I have been around for a while. It's you know, I mean, it's a totally different world than when I first started. I mean, if you asked me when I first started if this is where we'd be at, I would have thought that you came from another planet. But this is what our state government finds to be important, and this is where they want to fund.
So we're not solving the problems or helping it out, really.
I think it's perspective. I think that they think you're solving the problem. I think we have different, you know, they have different views on it. I think that ILS is, and I think the state's issue is they want more services to go to the indigent population, and that's where the funding is, and they want more services to go to the indigent population, and that's a measure of success.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone.
You too. Okay, we have our probation director, Mr. Scott Grantier. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Submitted the monthly report for January. There are some blanks in there. I want to just explain a little bit. We're kind of reconfiguring how we're tabulating both PINS and JD court-ordered supervision and intake diversion services for our 23 totals, and with a new technology through Citalis, the way our Caseflow Explorer operates. I guess a long story short is I will have a more clear picture of 2023 totals next month, and it will be in the annual report, of course, that I'm working on now. So just wanted to give a little explanation for those two blanks. Numbers are steady for January. We're seeing a big increase in, again, pretrial release is one of our busiest aspects of the department, as well as investigations continue to increase as well. So.
Okay. Any questions for the director? I continue to educate myself. You'll have to bear with me. Down in the corner, there's an SCRAM with a number 1 next to it. What does that indicate?
That's secure. It's basically alcohol monitoring. It's a ankle bracelet that monitors alcohol consumption for an individual. And we have found that to be is a graduated sanction, and we do use that through the drug court on occasion to monitor alcohol use. And that is the system that is paid for by the individual. So.
As it should be. Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Just a couple updates. We're transitioning this month to our new electronic monitoring company. That transition is going well. We'll have a seamless transition of our current people on electronic monitoring to that system by the end of the month. Very confident in our supervisors. They're doing a great job with making that transition. For Stop DWI, we have our Victims Impact Panel coming up on February 27th. This will be our 4th Victims Impact Panel. I think our senior probation officer handling that aspect of the department has done a fantastic job in building that Victims Impact Panel. We have like 40 referrals already for that, and a good panel of speakers to come in and present that information to the public, or to the people who are ordered to attend that Victims Impact Panel. And just a note, in 2024, we're just continuing to enhance our efforts with all the transitions we've had in our department and new faces and positions out there within our partner agencies, just getting out there and really presenting all the changes, the updates. There's so much change going on, as Peter mentioned, with the criminal justice system. And having all the stakeholders on the same page is just going to serve us all well for best outcomes. So.
Excellent. Any questions? If you're good, I'm good.
Good. Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good day.
you, sir. Mr. Gilbert Green, sir, Weights and Measures Director.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You got my monthly report. Nothing real exciting. Last week was definitely not exciting. And then I have an MOE.
Yes, you do.
They want to,
What's that about, sir?
it's for my sample collections. They want to give me some more money. They're going to give me $3,000 for the next 2 months, and I'm not going to be able to use it all. They should have had it for December, and I would have been able to use it. But April, we'll do it all over again with a new contract.
So moved, Seer.
Okay, second.
Healy.
Thank you. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Anything else, sir?
That is all. See you next
Thank you
month.
very much.
I got a quick question.
Okay.
There you
Can you give us an update on Angelica gas station?
Probably your next
All
door
right.
neighbor can give you
You
better.
don't know, you don't know.
The,
He gets his
they're
gas
supposed to
somewhere
come-
else.
We're supposed to come visit next week.
I can give a small update. The software programmer will be coming in next week, and the first truckload of fuel is ordered, so hopefully within 2 weeks, it'll be pumping as long as you can prove the weights and measures.
Yep. Hopefully.
Okay, before we're done, Mr. Barnes, I think, has a question.
Yeah. I understand that you are retiring this year. Is that
July
correct?
22nd, I'll be retired.
Say again?
July 32nd.
And I'm still not, your department's going to be going to the Department of Public Works,
So I read.
and the transfer of knowledge and equipment and so on and so forth, how's that all going to work out? Have you discussed that with the administration?
Trying to. They, it's gonna, got somebody that's taken the test, passed it. So all we gotta do is figure out when he wants to start, what he's gonna get paid.
I can talk a little bit more about that. I could do it now, or I could do when we get to that MOE, whatever the pleasure of the chair is.
I think probably we can move along and you can let us know when you get up here and we do the MOE. So I think everything will be answered for you at that time, Gary.
Yeah, I just, obviously, it's, with your experience and so forth, handing it over to somebody else is going to take a little time to get up to speed. And
Hopefully he gets more training than I did. I had 3 days. So there's nobody around to train me, so on the job training.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Scott Cicerello, our sheriff. Good afternoon, Sheriff.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my report for the month. Do you have any questions before we have discussion?
I'd just like to compliment you on the extra reports. The more information we have, the better we understand what it is you do. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's important to make sure that every area of our operations, it's understood from all of you to what it is that we're doing. And at the end of 2023, we took a good look at all of our areas' operations, and we thought, you know what, we can provide a little bit more detail for everyone to see exactly what it is that we're doing. So that was the reason behind that.
Does anybody have any questions on the sheriff's report? Not offhand? Okay. Anything else you'd like to highlight while you were talking about your report, sir?
We've just got a couple of things. You can see the second paragraph, we discussed the threat assessment management team. And that's something that we've been in discussions really with getting hammered out over the last year and a couple of months. we're finally in a position now, working with Carissa and Allison, getting the final details done. There's some little legalities that we're working out, but we're ready to get up and running. So we appreciate all of your support on that. It's been a long time coming, and we're excited to get this off the ground.
Excellent. You know, that's been a passion of mine, so
do.
thank you for moving forward with that.
I do. That's really all I have as far as that's concerned. If you have any questions.
You want to mention your app?
Sure. It's something that Sheriff Whitney had started developing back a couple of years ago. And when I took over, we took a really hard look at how people are getting information regarding our services and what we provide at the Sheriff's Office, especially when it came to pistol permits and things of that nature. And we found that most people had to pick up the phone or they had to drive down to our office and actually walk in to get answers to questions. We felt that this was the best way to get the most accurate information to the population. So it's been a large success already. It's not 100% complete. We're still uploading information daily, fine-tuning here and there. But already it's been a very, very large success, and we're very happy with its progress.
Excellent. Okay, any questions before we go into other stuff? Mr. Barnes?
Is the Sheriff's Department still doing the bird program?
Yes, we are.
So, with the less people in the facility, are you able to can do this at the same level it was done in the past?
The answer to that is yes, but I'll qualify it with saying that instead of using a lot of the working inmates, there's a lot of volunteers now that come in and work to get the birds ready for release. This year, not only volunteers from the Pheasant Committee itself, we also had the BOCES Natural Resources class came over and assisted with creating the birds and assisting in different areas of development with the birds before release. So we've had to get a little creative with bail reform. As all of you know, our jail population is down. The population that we do have largely does not fit the criteria for being able to be released to do certain things in the public. So we've had to get creative, and the way that we've done that is through volunteerism and then having some of the local students chip in. John Slomek, who is one of the instructors at BOCES, has been a very large part of getting this done. So I'd like to thank him publicly for that. But it can't be done without volunteers. It's not possible for us to continue the level of the program that we have in years past. It can't be done without help from the outside.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay. Are we up to MOEs?
Yep. Before I just get into that, I do have one MOE that the treasurer wanted me to mention, that we're going to be extending the performance period through 2024. Nothing changes. We're just extending it. It was supposed to end last year, and now we're just extending the performance period through the end of 2024 so we can spend the balance of the funds. Just wanted to note that. The first MOE that I have is to apply for a new grant. It is the Law Enforcement Technology Grant Program. It helps to keep our law enforcement partners safe by providing funding to purchase technology and applicable equipment and software to help prevent and solve crimes. The total funding available is $50 million statewide, and we're just applying for a share of that grant.
He'll move it.
Rumfeld, a second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next up.
Have a request to fill. It is for a vacancy in the dispatch department. We have one dispatcher that is currently transitioning to the vacant radio technician position, so we need to fill that vacancy in the 911 center.
So
Rumfeld,
moved,
move it.
Seer.
Second, Stocking.
Okay. Discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Thank you.
That is all I have for today.
That's outstanding. Anything else for the sheriff before he escapes? Thank you, Sheriff. Much appreciated. Okay, next up, Carissa Knapp, our county administrator, has a couple of items for us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And now we can continue the conversation about weights and measures. So the first MOE is asking to dissolve the Department of Weights and Measures as a separate standalone department. It's been that way since 1910. It's had a staff of 1. It is difficult to operate department of, it doesn't matter, Weights and Measures or any other department when there's only 1 person in it. It does seem like we'd have some organizational efficiencies if we merged this with the Department of Public Works, kept the same title, same duties, and just allowed Department of Public Works to act as a backup to this. And that also, I believe, Weights and Measures could work very well with their current functions in DPW.
Rumfeld move it.
Thank you.
Helio second it.
Thank you. Discussion on this. Mr. Barnes.
So there will still be 1 person in the Department of Public Works that will be responsible for doing the work that needs to be done?
Correct. So even though Mr. Green was a department head, that was a civil service tested position for a department head. It's one of the very few that we have that was civil service. We've given the test, we have results. We do believe that there's someone within the Department of Public Works that has passed the test and would be likely taking the job. So that works out very nicely for merging it with DPW. And the plan would be to work on a transition plan from March forward. So Mr. Green just said he's retiring July 32nd. So it would give us, March, April, May, June, July, 5 months to work with it. And it's not just the new person that will be taking over his title. I know our deputy, Dean Scholes, very much wants to make sure he understands what's expected of Weights and Measures so that he can do a good job in his deputy role for supervising. So we want to make sure we get more than 1 person up to speed on Weights and Measures and that we're ready to go when Mr. Green leaves us on July 32nd.
So in the future, that person will report to the superintendent of the Public Works?
Correct.
And the superintendent will bring anything to the board that is
Correct.
necessary to bring information that we will get.
And we'll still have to determine whether, through our board rules, whether you want Weights and Measures to have their separate report here at Public Safety, or if you want it merged into the Public Works Committee. Those are things we can talk out in the next couple of months. But this is the first step just to get a resolution out there that we know we can merge those 2 departments.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just a comment, it seems like a perfect fit to me that would be to go over to Public Works Department, and also offers a lot more support for Weights and Measures also by being in that department there. So I think it probably is a win-win for everybody. And
Other counties have done that. I believe Cattaraugus County did that a few years ago, and I've heard it's worked out well.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Next.
So the next one is an MOE requesting a resolution for a contract. It's actually Emergency Services Marketing Corp., but this is the I Am Responding app. This was referred to throughout our EMS study. We have a quote from last year. I will note that the agencies that are in the quote, we left out a couple in the quote. They will be in there in the final contract. So if you were looking for a particular volunteer agency and it wasn't in there, rest assured it will be in the contract.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
Demick.
Rumfeld second.
Thank you. Discussion. No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. Do we have any old business? Any new business? Go to the order. If not, I will take a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, as there appears to be no other business to come before the Public Safety Committee this afternoon, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second?
Byron second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?